Alrighty, we are officially live here in the studio. Gonna see if we can pop on, see if anybody joins us. But basically, I just wanted to check in, see how the community is doing. How's everybody at home? It is really hot outside today. It was like 27 degrees Celsius. Really, really good stuff. Ended up going to a bunch of parks, trying to keep that social distancing up and keep that going. Make sure everybody's nice and healthy and good. And you know what? A lot of people are out right now walking about and seeing family, which is nice. You know, you see a lot of people bringing lawn chairs and spreading out on a bunch of land, all four people sitting down just having a chat. And it's really, really nice to see us problem solving. Juan, what's up, man? How you been? I've been good, Juan. How are you, man? How are you? How's everything going on there? How's plumbing going? Are you working thus far? Are you still shut down for COVID? Let me know how everything's going with you. We have a couple of people in here. Um, I'll tell you guys a little bit about my week. Plumbing is getting very busy in comparison to what it's been over the past months. We're doing some pretty big projects right now. We're redoing an entire house. All the fixtures inside this house are basically being ripped out and new ones are coming in. So Dad and I are on a job site officially. I've been trying my best to keep him at home, but when you get jobs like this coming in, it's really good for the company and it's really good for even everybody's mental health and ability to problem solve. So we just installed 2 bathtubs this week, actually, and a couple of shower control valves, vanities. What's going on with the community, peeps? Let me know how you been. If I sound a bit tired, it's because I am. We ended up doing a lot of walking today. A buddy of mine named John has taken me out today for my birthday officially. My birthday was all the way in April, but we couldn't finally find a weekend that where it all worked out for everybody. But this weekend it did. We ended up doing some social distancing, just good old walks basically in the neighborhood. Went to go see Lake Ontario. Juan, what's going on? If you're still here, let me know how you are. How's work going? How's plumbing going for all you? Renovation season here in Toronto, at least for our company, opened up officially. People are officially opening up. Funny stories. Hey, Kenny, just finished pre-apprenticeship in school. Now I've started full-time. The owner says he'll sign me up as an apprentice in 3 months. He's got me working with the HVAC guys, putting in air conditioning systems. Funny stories. Congrats on finishing your pre-apprenticeship. Was it worth it? Did you have a good time? Was it expensive? Let me know all those answers because some people don't know enough about pre-apprenticeships, and that way they can watch this video and get a first-hand account of what you thought about it. Was it useful? Do you find that now that you're on an official job site that you already know things are involved in it? Let me know. I'm really interested. Congrats on getting your foot in the door, and congrats on being signed up in about 3 months. Out of curiosity, funny stories, why 3 months? What's happening with an NKF? What's going on? I hope you're doing well. How's the resume sending out? Are you getting any hits? Anything bite? Any good bites? Had a great time. It was good priced, and they gave money back in grants. There you go, funny stories. I didn't know they had grants for the pre-apprenticeship programs. Out of curiosity, funny stories, are you in Canada or are you in the States? What state or what province? Just to find out where these grants are located so that our viewers know. NKF, what's going on with you? Are you guys doing okay? Are you any hits? Let me know. Yeah, but what I was essentially saying, full tuition grant in Ontario. Nice. Nice, nice. I didn't know that they provided that. What is there a specific program that people should look under in Ontario to get this grant so that people know? That's really interesting. I didn't know they did full tuition grants. How do you qualify for that? So like I was saying, all of April, all of May, Toronto was closed down, but as of not all of May, I guess the latter part of May, everything opened up. I kid you not, a couple of weeks ago, it just all of a sudden became crazy. Super busy. Plumbing techniques, nice funny stories. Really glad to hear. Are you having fun with it? What's it like transitioning to the job site for you? Are you finding it a little bit overwhelming, underwhelming? I'm curious to know what's going on. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, basically, Toronto opened up, man, for us at least, and everybody's been calling. Everything, any renovation we had to do before COVID, as soon as COVID 19 hit, basically everything shut down. All condos basically said, we're going to be holding off in regards to the renovations until, this kind of settles down. And then a couple of weeks ago, it got bananas. Doing pretty well, brother. Nothing yet, but not giving up yet. Good. I'm not going to start doing walk-ins, lol. Yeah, NKF, I know it's not really the right season for that, but yeah, are you doing any calls, NKF? It might be useful to call the companies up if you're, or have you, I think you were saying you might actually already have been on that process, but calling would be definitely useful for you. It would help quite a bit. I think you were saying though that you were doing that. So, I mean, keep it up. Toronto's in a weird state where we are opened up, but at the same time, people are still nervous. I feel like you have two sides of the spectrum. I guess it's a lot of range on the spectrum, but you still meet people that are like, get out of my way. I need 3 meters or 2 meters, and then you still meet people that, like the job site that we're on. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't wearing masks. I'm wearing masks. My dad's wearing masks, but a lot of the contractors are not wearing masks. There's only one other contractor that is. And there's not much you could really say to those individuals. If they don't want to wear masks, it's within their rights, So, much different, a little overwhelming, but I'm doing good. I feel like I'm just over in the kitchen area. My owner says he'll sign me up after the COVID was the next thing he said to me. Okay. Okay. Oh, we got a super chat. Who's been sweet enough to give me a super chat? NKF, bro, man, much love, man. Much love. Few calls here and there. Much love. I really appreciate the super chat, NKF, and I really, honestly, I wish you all the best of luck in regards to getting this. You just got to keep knocking on doors. Do not ever stop till you get the results you want. That's it. Just don't take no for an answer. If you got to find part-time work while doing that, do that. If you got to take a pre-apprenticeship program to make yourself more competitive, do that. That's fine. But keep knocking on them doors. If this is your passion, chase it, man. Don't ever stop. I think, honestly, that's the crux of any dream, of any endeavor. It's literally being more stubborn than your worst days. You know what I'm saying? More stubborn in regards to continuously trying. So just keep it up. Really appreciate the super chat. Much love, man. And, I wish you all the best. And if there's anything I could help out with, just let me know. Let me get back to funny stories. So you're finding it a bit overwhelming, but you're doing good, which is good. I'm happy to hear that. You're in the Kitchener area, and your owner's saying after COVID-19 sort of settles down, that's when you're going to be signed up. Okay, I guess so. Are there currently apprentices there? Is that also part of the issue? Like, I know that it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so if you have only one licensed journey person, then they can only really sign up one apprentice. So that might be also part of it. By the way, do you guys like this NASA hat? Makes me look smarter than I am. John Cervantes finally got a call from the union, but the apprenticeship is 45 years. Is that the norm? Any tips for the interview and what to expect? John, if you're in Ontario, actually, yeah, if you're definitely in Ontario, 4 to 5 years is the apprenticeship standard. I think out in Alberta, if you're in Canada, Alberta, I think has a longer apprenticeship because gas and plumbing are connected. So it is common here. You need 9,000 hours under your belt. You need 3 in-class sessions. So it takes 4 to 5 years to get good. And I have to be honest, it takes 4 to 5 years just to know your way around a job site, just to get your hands on all the tools. So it is common. Victor is saying all union apprenticeships are 5 years, and Vic is all the way in the States in... Vic, first of all, what's going on? I haven't heard from you in a while. I hope you're doing well. I'm really curious to know how you are. But John, yeah, that's exactly what it's at. Congrats. Vic, are you back on the job site? Are you back doing that? You were doing a casino. Are you back doing that casino, or are they closed down still? How's it going, friend? And I really want to thank you for these streams. It really helps to have these streams. Ease never and give tips. Thank you, John. I'm trying my best, man. I'm really happy they're useful, peeps. Much love. All the help that I can give you, I'm trying to. Vic, you're at work finally. Oh, Vic, I'm so happy to hear that. I remember the stress you were expressing. Actually, it was like a couple months back. I think it was 2 months ago, fam. Congrats on being back on the job site. Let me know. What I want to know is how has it changed? Are people way more precautious? Is that the right word? Are people way more cautious? Are they wearing masks? Are there less people on the job site? Has anything changed on the job site, or is it this exact same feel, exact same vibe? Really curious to know all those things. Vic, congrats on getting back, fam. I remember how bad it was for you. Congrats. We wear beepers on our hard hats that beep if someone gets too close. Are you serious, dude? That's hilarious. If that's true, man, that's some serious cash coming in. NKF, your videos keep me motivated. I still have a chance. NKF, listen, you have a chance, but again, you have to be more stubborn than your worst day. So, in other words, if it takes months for you to finally get a resume that finally gets a hit, you got to be more stubborn than those months. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the secret to a lot of people getting what they want. You got to be more stubborn. And I don't mean stubborn in a negative way. I just mean you have to have sticking power. Stick to it. And eventually you're going to knock on a door where somebody's going to open up and they're going to say, you know what, I do need help. And this is a perfect time, and that's what you're doing. COVID is a really weird situation for a lot of things. I hear some people say, "Oh man, I sent out 3 resumes. I got 3 resume calls back." I hear people talking about, I sent out 1 million resumes. I haven't gotten a call yet. So there are some companies that are like really intense, really need help. Some companies are really cautious. So it's all up in the air. NKF, just keep doing. Jason, what's going on? Theodosio. Theodosio? Jason, you Greek? I think that's Theodosio, but I'm not sure. Vic, is your dad working again? Vic, my dad is working again. I can't, I was expressing earlier in this live stream, a couple of weeks back, Toronto unofficially opened up. Like, the roads are jam-packed. I'm back at the same traffic I was before COVID. So it's taken me an hour 10, an hour 20, hour and a half to get home in some of the worst traffic that we have here in Toronto. You know what I'm saying? So my dad is officially on job sites, and we got a couple of big ones. We just did a condo reno. So we did two washrooms. We did 1 bathroom group, which was a water closet and a bathtub and also a vanity. We didn't change the location of the water closet. It stayed. And then we did the other washroom, which was a shower. It was a bathroom group again, but it was a little bit easier because you didn't have to change the shower drain. But when you do a bathtub, you have to, well, no, sorry. We didn't have to change the location of the shower drain, but bathtubs are always a little bit complicated when you're doing condos, only because you got slabs on all 4 sides whenever you're doing bathtubs. So yeah, we did that, and now we're doing a house. We're renovating an entire house. We got called out to do like all the fixtures, all the plumbing fixtures in the house. Funny stories. We got a couple of things. So my dad has to be working now, Victor, because it's way too crazy right now. It's too much work for one person. Your motivation video about being a plumber the other day, it was awesome. Get me pumped up, and I'd like to see more of those. Funny stories, really appreciate that. That video took me a long time to write. I think you're talking about number 75, where I sort of talk about my birthday and the things I've learned over 33 years. If that's the one, it took me 3 weeks to write. That writing took a tremendous amount of time. It was a labor of love, and it was really hard to do because you're sort of making yourself vulnerable when you're talking about, the hardest moments of your life. So I'm really glad that it was motivational. That was the hope. That was the goal. And if it's been pumping you up, man, that makes me so happy to hear. America is crazy right now with all the looting and protests. Oh, Vic, man, everything about this situation breaks my heart, man. Everything about this situation breaks my heart, man. That George Floyd video, may he rest in peace, because that was the saddest thing. That was one of the saddest things I've ever seen. And I didn't even see the full clip. I saw a really small snippet, and I was like, I just can't do this. I know where it's leading, and it just broke my heart. And the outrage, I think, is understandable. You know, the peaceful protests, I think, are absolutely necessary, and I think it's important for people to exercise their protests and exercise their right to protest. In regards to the looting and the riots, you know, I think it takes away from the protests a lot of the times, and it's sad to see it go down that road because I think there's a lot of people out there for the right cause saying, look, this police brutality stuff, no, man, that's not the way it should be. That's it, you know. I'm with them 100% on those protests. Toronto is actually having a protest this weekend. I think it's today. Yeah, Vic, Toronto's having a protest today. They're doing a march downtown Toronto. And basically, the world is protesting. I know Montreal was having protests, I think, last week. I think it turned into a little bit of rioting as well. So, yeah, the world is moving in. Man, it's a scary time. It's a scary time. But, Vic, I hope you're safe. And, you know, in where you're living right now, I think you're in San Francisco. Am I wrong about that? But if you are there, what's San Francisco like? Are there protests there? Because this thing has really turned the world on its head, eh? Like this thing really kind of. Paris, NKF, that's right. Paris was having protests. Actually, a lot of European countries were doing stuff too. A lot of protests were coming up, man. So Philly, that's right, and it's been bad. Philly's been bad, eh, Vic? Oof, man, it's scary times. It's scary, man. It's scary, and living in Canada, I'm far from what's going on in America. But at the same time, watching the footage, and the footage is everywhere. If I go Oslo, that's right, NKF, the footage on my Instagram feed, everybody is posting footage. And it's really hard because it wears on the mind. It stresses you out because people are suffering. You know what I'm saying? People are suffering, and then there's so many emotions that people don't know what to do with those emotions. And you know, what happens is emotions escalate. Sometimes they de-escalate. But when it escalates on a grand scale like this, it's very stressful. Victor, I think those words are the truest words I've ever heard. 2020 has been bananas, bro. It's been pineapples and bananas, bro. It's been cats and dogs, pineapples and bananas. 2020, man. We're going to be looking back at 2020 for years, man. We're gonna be, you know, in about, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx us, in about 9 years, we're gonna be going through a rough patch, maybe even as a world, and we're gonna be like, bro, this is nothing compared to 2020. Do you remember 2020? 2020, where, man, there was a threat of World War III, where COVID-19 came to destroy the world, and then all of a sudden, this whole George Floyd death happened, and murder, or whatever you want to call it. 2020 was a write-off. NKF, dude, this is the... Bro, let me tell you on a personal note, 2020 personally started off terribly for me. 2019, the tail end of 2019 was a disaster for me on a personal note. I don't know if you guys remember a video I came out with called Depression and Plumbing. I did that video because I was neck deep in some personal stuff, neck deep, like things that you can't recover from fast. So 2019 hits and that happens, the tail end. 2020 hits and it gets worse actually for me. So that happens, and then finally on the recovery, all of a sudden COVID-19 happens. And COVID-19 happens, and then all of a sudden on the tail end, oh, well, I don't even want to say it's the tail end, but right at midway COVID-19, all of a sudden this happens. It's been, let me tell you, right off NKF is absolutely the way to talk about it. I think coronavirus cases will skyrocket after protests, though. No one is social distancing in protests. Vic, you know what? I don't think that's a bad guess, to be honest. I don't think masks are enough in COVID-19, with COVID-19. You know what I'm saying? I think they're a good precaution, and they're a blessing to have, but I don't think they're rock solid. I don't think they're bulletproof. I think you're right, man. Protests, people are shoulder to shoulder, you know, and especially with the amount of people coming. How the hell are you going to do 2 meters between each other, you know? And then people breathing in front of you, all the air is going into the back, and everybody in the back is getting your air. Satchmo, hey plumbers, I'm so glad to be a plumber. No shortage of work during these times. Satchmo, good to have you on board. Glad to hear you have no shortage of work. It is, it is an essential service. People need to unclog toilets, especially the way all that toilet paper went in those first couple of weeks of COVID. You remember that? People went bananas and started buying toilet paper like it was currency. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Satchmo, where are you located? General area, and did you have any slowdowns? Did it ever get really quiet for you, or has it been crazy busy for you the whole time? Let me know. I'd be interested to know that. But yeah, so there are Toronto protests, and like NKF was saying, it's lots of protests. Northern Illinois, nice. Satchmo, we were just quickly talking about protests. Is Northern Illinois doing okay in that regard? And I'd also like to find out more plumbing-wise. Are there precautions you're asked by your state to take in regards to working plumbing? Or are you mandated to wear masks, or are they suggesting it, or how's that going? So, Vic from Philly, yeah, man, nobody's social distancing, man. Nobody's social distancing. David Dillon! David, man, you're such a sweet character. What's going on? All is well on this front. Dave, how's it going in Kentucky, fam? How's everybody doing? We got Brett, Kenny. I just got a first job as a first-year apprentice. Boom! Just an hour west of Toronto. Brett, congratulations, fam. Congrats. So good to hear. I'm so glad. NKF, that should be motivation for you. There are companies hiring. We just got to keep knocking on doors. Brett, does your company need other first-year apprentices? We have people on here. NKF, if you're still here, let us know, because NKF can send a resume out, man. Maybe that'll be useful. So, Brett, you're just an hour west of Toronto. Are we talking about the Hammer, or are we talking about closer than that? Are we talking about Brampton? No, Brampton's about a half hour. If I had to guess, I'd say the Hammer. But congrats. I'm a softener repairman, Illinois licensed plumber. Nice, Satchmo. Nice to hear. One side of state is bad rioters. My side peaceful. Dave, just stay safe, fam. Honestly, I was talking about this earlier. I don't want to make it too political, but I think again, people's right to protest is absolutely okay to be exercised, especially if it's peaceful protest. That's usually how things are done. But the moment it turns into rioting, it takes away from the protest and the cause. So I'm sad to hear that the state's is doing not well. And Dave, we have protests here in Toronto as well, and hopefully they stay peaceful. I know that there has been a lot of effort within the past couple of days for stores to actually start boarding up in case it gets a little bit nasty. Man, just really sad times, dude. Really sad times. And I don't think anybody that sees that video of George Floyd, may rest in peace, I don't think anybody sees that and thinks that's okay. That was the most heartbreaking thing in the world. But again, protesting is within our rights. Rioting, it becomes a different thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a different thing. I'm still here, brother. NKF. Oh, Kitchener. NKF, that's a long drive, I assume, eh? From what I remember, I think you're saying you're in the Toronto area. Brett, congrats, man. Congrats. NKF, we're going to find you a company, fam. Don't you worry. We're going to find you a company. So Satchmo's saying, yes, wearing gloves and sanitizing. Okay, so that's what it's like in Northern Illinois. They're sort of making sure that people are keeping up to standard in regards to COVID. Can you guys do me a favor? Hit that thumbs up button if you got a chance. We have 6 people in here. Maybe we can get 6 thumbs up. That'd be awesome. Satchmo, did you say that are there riots going on, or are there protests happening in Northern Illinois? What's going on there? Brett, how is your first week as an apprentice? That's what I'm curious about. Are you finding it? Did you go through a pre-apprenticeship program, or did you? Or did you just get in right away? You're in Vaughan. Kitchener is a drive. Yeah, I know, fam. Victor is saying, if I'm a single guy and I make $50K a year as a plumber in Toronto, will I be comfortable living there? Vic, it depends on where you live in Toronto. Downtown Toronto has some of the highest rates in regards to rent. But there's something called the GTA, which is called the Greater Toronto Area. So the GTA is a larger section that we call Toronto, which includes places like Scarborough, North York. If you go more west, you got Brampton and Sauga. That's part of the GTA. It really depends on where you end up getting housing and finding rent. So 50K is decent. I think you could find rent in some places for like $1,500 a month. But when you get into Toronto, it starts going a little bit higher. You start looking at prices at potentially almost $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month, depending on how big the space is. So, Vic, you could absolutely. But again, if you are thinking about moving, I would suggest doing a lot of research in regards to maybe talking to unions before getting here. You know what I'm saying? Seeing if you can get your foot in the door uh, so you can land running. What do you call it? How do you say that? So you could take off running. You know what I'm saying? Hit the ground running, I think I'm trying to say. NKF Vaughn is a hike from Kitchener. I know, man. I know. So that's okay. Keep checking. Keep sending out those reminders. David, love you, man. This is the way I feel. I will walk with those for bettering things. Absolutely. But one rock thrown and I am swinging. Watched another video of another who had same thing happen as G. Floyd. Dave, whew, guys, honestly, I get teary eyed about this conversation because dude, it's an extremely sad situation. I think hands down it's the easiest video to look at and say that's obviously police brutality. Man, I don't know how true this is, but I'm under the impression that knee move, when you put your knee on someone's neck, I don't think it's the first time I've seen that happen in regards to getting handcuffs on somebody. Usually it's either on somebody's back. Like, in a sense, you're trying to incapacitate somebody for a moment to get the handcuffs on. That George was, man, he was handcuffed for a while. The entire process, like, it was just, I want to swear it was bananas. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It broke my heart, man. Broke my heart, and it's crazy. It's crazy. And then again, even I heard something or I read something that George Floyd's family is going, look, don't riot. That's not what we want, Protest's fine, but don't riot because look, rioting takes away from the entire protest. Like, it becomes a different thing. It's not even about the initial issue anymore. It's something else now. Now we have to pay attention to other things, man. It breaks my heart, man. It breaks my heart. Satchmo, in Chicago, there's rioting. Not much in the suburbs. I'm north of Chicago, near Wisconsin border. Okay, Satchmo, I'm glad to hear that you're safe and sound, man. Like, friend, I should say. You're safe and sound. Keep it up. That's why I was hoping to do this live stream with you all. I was hoping that, in this time of dire divide, that we can sit down and hang out, talk plumbing, talk just what life's going on, how everything's going. If you have any questions plumbing wise, we could just do that, because I think it takes communities to build, and I think those communities need to be diverse, because I think that's how we're strong, and that's how I feel. That's how I feel on the subject. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me, in other words. David, Satchmo, up near Chicago. Funny stories. I think Brett was in my course. That's so cool. That is so cool. So, friends, Funny Stories was in a pre-apprenticeship program. They just got an apprenticeship position, and Brett might have been part of that pre-apprenticeship program. That's so cool. Where did you go for your pre-apprenticeship, Funny Stories, if you feel comfortable saying? David's asking, to Satchmo O'Hare up and running yet? Satchmo, I see jets going over to O'Hare, but not like traffic like before COVID. Victor, besides Hawaii, where else in the USA have you visited? Vic, you're asking me? So Vic, I don't know if I don't think I ever said this on YouTube, but I've visited many places. I even went down to Mobile, Alabama. So let me tell you a couple of things about me pre-plumbing Kenny. Pre-plumbing Kenny was a competitive soccer player. So I would travel 45 minutes on a highway every day to get to practice, and then I'd play for 2 hours and I'd come back. I was driving from Markham to Mississauga, which is a 45-minute hike, 2-hour practice, and then come back. I did that for a couple of years, and because it was one of the greatest programs I've ever been a part of in regards to soccer, I was playing for Mississauga Aaron Mills. So the great thing about Mississauga Aaron Mills, Peeps, I'm going to go on a tangent. Sorry about this. is that they had this program called the Advanced Development Program. What they would do at the end of the season, they'd take all the guys and all the girls teams and they'd do a tour of America. So we would go all the way down and we'd play like 10, 11 colleges. It was bananas. I don't know how I played that long. I remember it being super exhausting, but it was essentially to go down there to try to get scholarship opportunities. So I've been to America quite a bit. I did 3 of those tours, and we went to a number of states. We even went to Bourbon Street. Like, we went everywhere. We went as many places as we could, and the people that put that program together did a fantastic job, and I had just some great experiences. So I've been to Alabama, I've been to Florida, I've been to Kentucky as well. Man, I've definitely been to Kentucky. And then my parents and I went to Virginia Beach many years ago. I played a couple of tournaments in Virginia in regards to soccer. So I've been to a few places. I've driven through Detroit a couple of times. Yeah, so I've been to a lot of places. I've been blessed. I've been blessed with that in my past. But Hawaii, man, I got a scholarship opportunity. I can't remember. I can't remember where it was, but it was a southern state that I got a scholarship opportunity. But it just never panned out to be enough money. And your parents are these working class individuals that see that you have a dream, but they can't afford it, and you're like, sometimes you got to roll with the punches. So in other words, I got an opportunity to go down, but I never ended up going because it was just too much money for my family. So that's the way it worked out. But man, soccer were some of the best years for me. You love Mobile, Alabama. Let me tell you, I always had a good experience every time I gone down there and to play soccer down there. Not sure why. We got funny stories saying, oh, in Waterloo, Conestoga College. Okay, funny stories. Thanks for sharing that. Ian Growcut. Hey, Kenny, how much weight do you lift on an average day in plumbing? Okay, Ian, that's a really interesting question. I have never done the math, but even on the light days, I assume you're lifting quite a bit. So I think my my plumbing kit that I have to carry everywhere where I use a C tank and I have my C tank in it, it must be anywhere between 25 to 50 pounds. Okay, and it's got wheels, so I roll that bad boy around. But I gotta take it off the truck. I gotta put it back on the truck. And then when you have heavy days where you're dealing with cast iron, you're lifting. Oh, David. Man, you're a sweetheart. I appreciate you. I appreciate you a million times. Peeps, thank you for the super chats. These go straight towards editors, by the way, in regards to making videos. I'm talking constantly with editors in order to get more videos out. David, love you, bud. Love you. Appreciate that. So, Ian, on heavier days when you're dealing with cast iron, each cast iron pipe can, man, I have never actually weighed one, but I think they're closer towards the 50 to 75 pound range. So in other words, like you can do it as one person, but you got to find the balance in the center. But really, most of the time, you're using 2 people for that kind of job anyway. So you can lift hundreds of pounds every day. In other words, like if I have to dislodge my kit twice in a day, you lifted at least 100 pounds there if it is 50 pounds each time. So it's an interesting question, Ian. I hope that answers it. Yeah, Vic, every time I've gone to Mobile, Alabama, I had a good experience, even with the coaches. I don't know why, but every time I got down there, it was always a good time. David is going, you came to Kentucky and did not stop in for a beer? Now I'm pissed. Ever going to do a drain camera video? Dave, let me write this down. Dave, I have a notepad here because you guys always give me awesome ideas, and I got to keep writing them down. Drain camera video. Thank you for that suggestion. I will try to get on that. Killer Rob 98, what's going on? Jeremy, I can't wait to start trade school in February to take plumbing at Kenny Molotov. Jeremy, man, I'm really excited for you. That sounds like a lot of fun. I hope this is all done by then. You know what I'm saying, Jeremy? I really hope that this whole COVID-19 banana, whatever you want to call it, this whole bananas I'm going to say, I hope it's all over with, man. I really hope February is going to be good to you. You've been working a lot, like 40 plus hours. Killer Rob, yeah, it got crazy. It got crazy these past 2 weeks. It's not official. Toronto's still shut down, by the way. You can't go into restaurants still. There are still rules that say, certain amount of people on an elevator and all that stuff. Toronto's apparently potentially opening up next week. I was talking to a restaurant we do takeout with, and they were saying that there are rules that are going to be implemented for patios, but if patios are opened up, then dine-in has to be opened up as well. So they might be able to catch that wave, but they are obviously going to block off certain tables so people are 2 meters apart. But it's not open. But listen, it's open. It's unofficially open. It's busy right now. There are so many cars on the road, so many contractors on the road. Renovation season has started. People have finally given up on this notion of waiting out this virus, and it's like everybody's going, and they're going a mile a minute. So I hope that answers your question, Killer Rob. And David, I came to Kentucky, but we're talking about 10 years. I would never go to Kentucky and not let you know, bro. I would never do that. Me? Never do that to you. Never do that to you. But I'd definitely check in. That'd be so cool. Man, I've always kind of envisioned a day where we have enough subscribers where I could do a tour, like just pop in state to state, or like one state and have you guys come out and I could treat you to lunches or something like that. Something like that. I think that'd be cool. Unless there are like thousands of you showing up. In regards, you're going to have to buy your own lunch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still just a middle class individual. You know what I'm saying? So any, Victor's going, when did you get that new studio behind you, LOL? So, Vic, I used to use this for my podcasts. I used to do a podcast called Chronicles of a Plumber. It's the same setup. I always had this here. I don't use it as often. It looks a little bit dungy right now. I really got to work on my studio setup and stuff like that. Eventually, in due time, I will be able to invest time and money into that. But right now, it's like I just wanna pop on and see you, and be able to answer any questions you guys have, or just sit and chat with you. Shoot the breeze, find out how everything's going. Vic, are you sweating buckets? Like how warm is it right now? Dave, still wish you would do a live stream on Zoom where we could actually talk instead of typing, dude. Live stream on Zoom. I'm thinking about doing that for real. But the only thing I have an issue with is contacting you peeps. I don't know how to contact you unless I go through, I guess, the comments. They would reach out to you so that you can email me. But that's definitely something. Live stream on Zoom. That would be cool. Yeah, it's hot out here in Philly, eh? Vic. Oh, man. So, Vic, are you happy to be back on the job site? Are you guys sanitizing? Are you wearing masks? What's going on there? I don't even know. And David, you were telling me that you weren't working for a while. Dave, are you guys back full throttle in Kentucky, or are you still closed up? That's interesting. I want to know that. Who else do we got talking here? If Funny Stories is still on here, quick question for you. Did you say you were working HVAC, and is that what typically your company does, or do you guys focus on other plumbing stuff as well? I'd be interested to know that as well. Satchmo, I see jets going over O'Hare, but not like the traffic like before COVID. Huh, interesting. Interesting. No, not back yet, just company, not whole state. I see. Dave, hang in there. I bet you're keeping yourself. Dave, how are you keeping yourself busy? What are you doing? I imagine you got a bunch of projects that you're doing around the house. Trump was given an extra $600 on top of unemployment. Oh, has given us an extra $600 on top of unemployment. So, Vic, was that useful? Like, 600 isn't a lot of money, but it's better than no money, right? David Dillon saying side jobs. David's hustling, baby. That's what I like to hear. Good for you, as long as you're staying safe. And, you got to make your money. Making your money in an honest way. There's no shame in that, fam. There's no shame. That's a fair exchange right there, doing side jobs. What's your last side job that you did? What are you guys up to, Dave? Jeremy, Jeremy, oh, you're a sweet creature. I bought your math course and I'm going to be busy all summer getting ready for the plumbing math and understanding the math. I'm happy that I found a math course for plumbing. Jeremy, man, let me tell you, this math course kicked my butt. It's 10 hours in length. As you already know, it's more than 10 hours. It's very thorough. I did my best to be as thorough as possible and to break it down as to its fundamentals as possible, because everybody walks into math with different knowledge. Like, in other words, you all can go through the same schooling system, but some of you don't understand the concepts like others do. And I'm one of those individuals that, like, I needed to break it down. So I really hope, let me know how it goes. I'm really curious to know how you find it. I tried to break it down as best as I could so that somebody all the way down that's really struggling to somebody that's already kind of got momentum behind math can get it. You know what I'm saying? So I really hope it helps. Thank you so much for the support. That's a great blessing, and I really appreciate it. Let me know. I want to know firsthand results. What did you think? Did the worksheets help? My wife was such a sweetheart. She helped me with all the worksheets. So, man, I owe her. If I had to pay that woman, bro, I'd be broke right now. She's a sweet woman, and I really hope it helps. I really hope it helps. David, Kenny, I have a paid Zoom account, so if you want to do it, I can host the chat if you want. David, I will look into that. It's written down in the book, the holy book. This one right here, not the actual holy book. David's doing toilet replacements. Killer Rob, okay, so Killer Rob, what you got to do is, okay, Killer Rob, this is how you find the math course. Go on to my latest video, not this live stream. Go on to the previous video, click onto it, look in the description. You're going to find a link to plumbing math course. Okay, that's the easiest way to get to it. It's got a link for you already there. Just click on that. It takes you straight to it. That's the easiest way. Go to my most recent video that I uploaded before this live stream right here. You'll be able to find it there in the description. It's easy as pie. Just click on that math course right there. Dave, how many toilets we talking about now? We talking about one toilet, two toilets, a battery of toilets? Did you have to circuit vent these toilets? Guys, peeps, I noticed. No problem. Killer Rob, thank you for even checking it out. So don't thank me. Thank you, fam. I appreciate you. I noticed during COVID-19, Victor, do I invest in stocks? I'll get to that. I noticed during COVID-19, I did a lot of drain work. I didn't do a lot of water closet work. So when I did my first water closet, I was a little bit rusty. Normally water closets take you anywhere between 15 minutes. It's usually for me between 15 minutes to a half an hour, depending on what happens. If you got a broken flange, that's easy, 45 minutes. You got to go get the repair kits. But man, I was rusty and I was like, man, gotta do more of these water closets. Victor, do I invest in stocks? So here's where I'm sitting on the stocks. I am currently trying to diversify the portfolio. I don't currently invest in stocks. My wife and I have been talking about it for quite a long time. And I think we have some money now where we might be able to put just a tiny amount just to put it in and leave it in there. But my understanding of stocks, I think, is pretty basic. It's not even intermediate. So I do want to get into that. I do want to put a chunk of money towards that. But again, I don't feel confident in the amount of knowledge I currently have. I'm going to have to do more studying and stuff like that about it. How about you, Vic? Do you invest in stocks? Any suggestions on where to put the money? David, one, and no deep plumbing, just the fixture itself. I see what you're saying. Okay, so you didn't have to rough in the water closet. You just put it on top. Easy, $350. That's what I like to hear. I assume it's $350 just for the installation. They got to provide the fixture themselves. Am I right? Jeremy, I got a question to ask. Sure, it's about the trades. Jeremy, fire away, fam. That's why I'm here. Ask me any question about trades, about life. Pick my brain. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to hang out, chill, and just have a chill time with you guys. Jeremy, I'm not sure. Like, you can fire away and ask the question here. If you want to do it personally, find me on Instagram. Molotov_plumbing, and you could ask me any question you want there if you want it to be a personal question. 500 total bill. Parts are about 150. All right, so Dave, you also provided the toilet. You went out and got it, I assume, huh? That's what we typically do. There is one toilet that Dad and I swear by, and I ain't plugging anything. I am not endorsed by this company, but the American Standard Cadet Pro. I've done so many Cadet Pros that I can put this toilet in legitimately. No joke. If the flange is totally fine when I lift up the previous toilet, if the water supply, if I don't have to change a valve, I legitimately can do this toilet in 15 minutes. That's how many I've done. But then again, you meet a flange that's broken that you need to repair. So I've done plenty of these Cadet Pros, man. All right, so Kenny Molotov, which trade has the harder math, plumbing or electrical, or are they equal? Jeremy, I don't think I could answer that question for you because I've never done electrical math, unfortunately. If I had to guess, and this is purely a guess, take it with a grain of salt, I think electricians, oh, you know what? I don't know. This one's tough because look, in regards to engineering systems, we got to do engineering. We got to do plumbing engineering. So in other words, you got to start working in fixture units. You got to figure out how big your stack's going to be, how big your horizontals are going to be. If you're wet venting, you have rules, but you have to count the fixture units for that as well. So that I think also manifests in electrical because I think they're constantly talking about amps, volts, and the third one. Amps, volts, and something else as well. Talking to the Sparkies, I know plumber's math is harder, lol. Dave, is that a bias or is that legit? I'm interested to know. Jeremy, I would assume they're similar, but I don't know because again, I've never done electrical math, unfortunately. It would be really interesting to meet a plumber who's also an electrician because every once in a while you meet people that have multiple trades like that. Open shop or union? Killer Rob, it depends on the way it depends on personality. So let me tell you some advantages to union. And Peeps, correct me if I'm wrong, open shop is essentially service or is open shop something else? Because open shop is not a term I typically use. I use. So define that for me if somebody can. But here's what I do know. Unions, for example, in Ontario, they strictly do, for the most part, they do new construction. So when you're doing new construction, you're going right off of a blueprint and you're dealing with brand new pipes. All your pipe work is new. Atlantic Media, what's going on from North Carolina? What's a union? Okay, we're going to get to that. Don't you worry. So unions typically do new construction. Now, look, there's some people that really can't stand the idea of working with unsanitary pipes. So, Killer Rob, it's possible that if your personality is that and you really are kind of creeped out by the idea of working with pipes that, had unsanitary water going through it, then that might be the route you need to go. Also, unions are known for fighting for a wage. Unions have some really good things to them, like they usually provide great benefits. They usually provide benefits in regards to also, you get vacation times and stuff like that. And unions are always fighting for your wage as a worker as well. When you go into open shop, you got to negotiate with Patrick. What's going on? When you go into open shop, you got to negotiate for your wage. You know what I'm saying? And typically, you'll get what a licensed plumber gets if you're a licensed plumber, or you'll get what a third-year apprentice gets. But there's a little bit variation there. And then you're also doing service stuff, which means that you'll deal with dirty pipes, but it means that you get to fix fixtures, and that's an entirely different ball game than doing rough-ins. It's literally you're using the same skills, but it's manifested in a different way. So it really depends on you. Do you enjoy fixing things? Do you enjoy going in and finding out what's going on? Why is this water closet, why is it seeping water? Why does it keep losing its seal? Do you like troubleshooting leaks? Do you see a drip somewhere and you want to trace the line all the way back? There's a lot of investigative work in regards to open shop. So I hope that clarifies it. Now, because I am a service plumber, I actually love getting my hands on rough-ins. So a little bit of new construction stuff just because I don't see it as much and I find it more fun. But when I do service, I am way more in my element. That is where that is where I cut my teeth. You know what I'm saying? So it really depends on you. It would be really interesting to try both out, to be honest. So let me go back. I got a bunch of questions here. Okay. So David's going, your toilet of choice is the Gerber Viper series, kind of like our Cadet Pros. Talking to the Sparkies, I know plumber math is harder, lol. No, just saying Sparky isn't... Dave, don't be mean to Sparkies. Sparky isn't that bright, just rubbing the different trade. Good fun, of course. All right, Dave, be nice, be nice. Killer Rob, service. Okay, so open shop being service. I think I answered your question, Killer Rob. Let me know if you have any more questions on that. Atlantic Media, what's going on from North Carolina? Thanks for joining us, Atlantic Media. Jeremy, do you have to be insanely good at math to understand plumbing math? Jeremy, no, you do not have to be insanely good at math, but you got to be decent at the fundamentals. You got to be really decent with fractions, okay? Fractions you're going to notice show up into everything. If you're doing a conversion, it's going to represent itself as a fraction. If you're doing percentages, it's going to represent itself as a fraction as well. When you look at your test scores, it's 25 out of 50. You know what I'm saying? That's a fraction. You're going to need to know how to handle fractions. I go so extensively into fractions that, man, I'm telling you, the hours that I put into this course, a lot went into fractions because you got to get them down. But once you get those fundamentals down and you know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions, I tell you, it gets a lot easier because everything is layered on top of that. You know, you got to build the foundation, then you can brick it up. And that's what fractions is. If you get fractions down, it's going to be a major dent in your ability to work in regards to do the plumbing math. So fractions it is. And also, anytime you work with a tape measure, you're using a fraction as well. Remember, you're talking about 1 1/4 pipes. How much length do you have to cut? You got to cut 3/8 of an inch. You know what I'm saying? So fractions is a big deal. Once you get that down, it becomes much easier. I hope that helps, Jeremy. Patrick, what's happening, buddy? What's going on? How you been? How's work? Let me know details. Killer Rob. See, I want to be a service plumber. I feel the work is stable. That new construction has ups and downs, especially with COVID. So, Killer Rob, let me give you some insight about what I've seen and what my dad's told me. Because remember, my dad's been in the game 20 years in regards to being a service plumber. So a lot of times when there's financial collapse, when there's either a recession or something like COVID, which causes a momentary dip in the market, a lot of times new construction slows down. This is true because people need money to invest in new construction, and investments are what really slow down in any sort of financial crisis. But at the same time, at the very same time, plumbing service has ups and downs. There are times in our seasons where it gets so quiet that Dad and I are looking at each other going, did we screw up? Did we say no to a lot of calls? Did we overcharge a bunch of things and now people aren't calling us? Like, there's a big paranoia in regards to owning a plumbing company. You constantly are trying to figure out if you're charging enough or you're charging too little, or are you pissing off customers? You don't want to do that, you know? So there are dips in our market as well in regards to service. In regards to unions and stuff like that, again, unions protect their workers pretty well. There are some really good services that unions provide in regards to unemployments and stuff like that. That's usually a city and a government thing, but there are benefits and what's the other word? There are benefits and downfalls to both parts, Killer Rob. I hope that helps in your understanding. I hope that changes. I hope that helps. David's saying, I love service more than new service. New construction? Okay, I got you, Dave. ABS or Schedule 40, what do you prefer? Yeah, I love the service plumbing work too. So ABS or Schedule 40? Patrick, whenever we're doing a house, it is ABS. Schedule 40, doesn't ABS come in Schedule 40? Like, isn't that a grade of the type of ABS you're using? Or is Schedule 40 a different pipe? Because here in Canada, I'm not sure if you... Patrick, I think you're from the States. I think if my memory serves me correctly, Here in Ontario, we have a gray pipe called PVC, and we call it System 15 or XFR. Aaron, what's going on? Schedule 40 is the thickness of the plastic. Thank you, Aaron. I thought I remember. I think you could get Schedule 40. I think you get Schedule 40 cast iron pipe as well, if I'm not wrong. I think it has to do with the type of grade of plumbing. Patrick, if Schedule 40 is the only thing that's going to do the job right, that's what you got to do. That's what I put in. You know, I actually did an irrigation line the other day, and they had this really dark PVC, and initially they had a white PVC, and it was a T. It was a threaded T. It was a tiny. It was like an inch and a. It was ½ inch threaded, but it was plastic. It's the sort of plastic you see whenever you're working with either irrigation or swimming pools. That's where I see this sort of plastic. And I went to my supplier, and thankfully, they didn't have the white PVC. They gave me a Schedule 41, and let me tell you, you can really crank those fittings, because I tried to crank that white T, and it broke on me, and that's why I had to run out to the supplier. So Schedule 40, especially if you're doing any sort of thread work, Schedule 40 really does the job well. Satchmo saying that you love service as well. Yeah, service is a lot of fun. Look, troubleshooting, if problem solving is your drive, if that's what you really get up in the morning to do, service is a lot of fun for that. Jeremy, I'm pretty decent at fractions. I thought I had to have like calculus math or something like that. No, Jeremy, no calculus. And don't ever bring up that word, man. It gives me anxiety. I got to tell peeps, we're almost nearing the end of the live stream, but here's a funny story to tell you, okay? So in high school, I had a huge crush on this teacher, by the way, and she was a sweetheart, and she was a math teacher, and I took calculus. Peeps, Kenny Molotov got 20% in calculus. I kid you not. That's a real number. I could show you the transcript, okay? I got 20%, but here's what I found really fun. I had a lot of really exceptionally gifted math students in the class, right? And I'm like sort of a social butterfly in a classroom. Like I'll walk around and I'll be like, yo, how did you do? And what's funny is every time I did that, you know, I'd go up to these really brilliant math students and they'd be like, man, I don't know if I'm going to get into university. I'd be like, what's wrong? They're like, bro, I got 82. Or like they'd be like, man, I got 75. I'd be like, 75? Bro, I got 35%. And they'd give me that look like, really? Like they don't know if I'm telling them the truth. And bro, I would produce the 35%. And it was just so fun to watch their eyes light up and feel better about themselves. So I would literally walk around and make the rest of the class feel better when I was the one failing the most at plumbing, at calculus math, dude. It was so funny. But it was such a good experience because I would watch my friends walk out happier when they got such a wicked mark in comparison to mine. Now, here's something you got to know. So this teacher that I had a huge crush on, I ain't going to name names, fam. She really helped me that semester. Really helped me. And what ended up happening is I took calculus for a second time. And peeps, I was kicking butt in calculus. I already did it. I knew how to do it. So I was getting like 75, 78 every test. I was coming back with like these 70s just to find out eventually that I actually didn't need calculus to go into the university degree that I was doing. I went into philosophy. And when I found out that I didn't need math, like I walked over real sad to her and I said, look, I'm sorry, I'm not part of the class. Like I'm gonna drop it. She goes, Ken, I thought you were gonna do it this semester, man. I thought you were gonna get a wicked mark. And I was like, man, I was on that path, but I appreciate all the help. So Jeremy, no, you don't need calculus math. Sorry, peeps, I went on a tangent. Let me know if those stories are interesting to you. If they're not, man, I will not do that to you, peeps. Sorry. So let's keep going. Nope. Aaron liked Schedule 40 is a thickness. Thank you. Foam core PVC here. Okay, cool. That's a different one. I mean, we prime and glue black pipe is a one-part process. Okay, Patrick, we only have, okay, so when we use ABS pipe here, we only have an orange, like this yellowish glue that we use. I've seen in a lot of other videos, let me get this camera going. I've seen in a lot of videos, especially from the States, there's a two-step process to using some plastic pipes. There's a prime, I think you're talking about, and then you finally put the other glue on top or something like that, and then you shove it together. Whenever we use ABS, same with PVC System 15 or XFR, it's one process, but maybe that's how you buy the glue. Maybe sometimes you can buy them differently so that it's primer and then the glue. I don't know what the technical difference is between them, but in the glues that we use, we typically just use one glue and then everything kind of melts together and seals together. You know what I'm saying? Hope that helps. They use, okay, so Satchmo, they don't use ABS down here anymore. More so in homes from the late 70s to early 80s, all Schedule 40 nowadays. Okay, so Satchmo, we are the same here. So when you're dealing with single family dwellings, you're allowed to use ABS. So any homes that you see, you're allowed to use ABS. It's totally a go. Anytime you deal with a high-rise residential, you have to be using, if you're using a plastic pipe, it has to be XFR. XFR has a fire or smoke rating. So essentially, if the fire reaches the XFR, it doesn't smoke as much as ABS does. And from all my teachers and also studies I've read on ABS, ABS is actually quite toxic when it's burned. So there are cases where people have died from the fumes of ABS when the flames haven't even gotten to them. So that's something to keep in mind here. Okay, so we got David Dillon. All right, question for the group. I am seeing a new pipe that is black, kind of like PEX, but different connections, mainly used for outside supply lines. Does anyone know this pipe? David, I don't know that pipe. Aaron, I got an A- in Calc 1, B+ in Calc 2. Never use it again though. Derivatives, integral, multivariable. Aaron, you're going to give me a heart attack with all this math nomenclature, fam. But good for you. Good for you. That's awesome math right there. Dave Goris just got home installing a well pump and storage tank. Oof. It was located under a bedroom floor. The rest of the week was installing air conditioning. Just back to work from the cancer. Dave, congrats on kicking the cancer in the rear end. I'm so happy to hear you're back at work and that you're keeping that mind of yours occupied. Congratulations. And man, keep up the good work, fam. Keep up the good work. I was good at math though, Aaron. I would say so. You're kicking math in the butt, calculus. Now I was definitely a C English student. LOL. I hate reading. Jeremy, I love the stories. Thanks for answering my question, Jeremy. Anytime, fam. I meant to say we use white pipe. Okay, Patrick, I think I know what you're talking about. There is this white pipe I see being used all the time in the States. The only time I've ever used that white pipe is if it's come with an IKEA kitchen or, sorry, an IKEA vanity or something like that. We don't typically use that white pipe here, and I really don't know where it stands in regards to the code. Again, we have really strict rules in regards to high-rise residential. Plastics have to be XFR if you're using plastics. And what's interesting is, in regards to price, XFR is really similar to the price of copper and brass, which is what we also install in high-rise buildings as well. So, I mean, the consumer saves on the installation because plastic's way faster, but the pipes are very similar in price. So that's really interesting. Patrick. Thanks for asking. I should have used PVC nowadays. I should have said we use PVC nowadays. Oh, I got you, Satchmo. Got it. Thanks. Where is the pull press? Patrick, I thought it was you, fam. You were having a steak a couple of weeks back. Congrats to Dave Goris. The Pro Press is in the works. You know what I'm saying? We're still saving up. We're doing a couple of pretty big jobs right now. How are the greenhouses, Patrick? That's what I want to know. Peeps, it's 6:64 minutes in, so we're an hour and 4 minutes in. I'm going to give this another 6 minutes. So if you got any more questions, fire away, and we'll find out what I can answer for you. Yeah, Dave, huge congrats, fam. White pipe is PVC, I believe, but here in Kentucky, you need to separately clean and cement. Oh, I think that's what you mean. So in other words, you have to put two different solvents or two different things on the pipe before you seal them together. And is that like there's a primer and then there's that purple stuff that they put on it? Is that the actual glue? Because again, we don't use that pipe. We've never used that pipe. The only yeah, okay, got it, David. I appreciate you letting me know. Look, that pipe is everywhere. I see that pipe so much on Instagram. So it looks like a really convenient system. It looks like something that, you know, you could get used to. And is that allowed in residential? Is that allowed in like single family dwellings? Primer is purple, cement is clear. Got it. Thanks, David. Is that allowed in residential? If you have a residential building, can you put that pipe in it as well? That's what I'm curious to know. So peeps, 5 more minutes. David Dillon saying yes. Okay, good to know. So is there a fire rating that you have to be aware of in Kentucky, Dave? Is there like a code for that? Or like, in other words, are you allowed to use ABS in these very same buildings? Or is there a rating for that says, no, you're not allowed to use ABS for that? It is the end-all pipe here in Kentucky. So you use that as much as possible, in other words. That's what I'm understanding. You put it in you try to put it in as many applications as possible just because you can put it anywhere. That's what I'm gathering. Is it also cheap? Is it also really affordable? That's an interesting question as well. Peeps, 4 more minutes, and then I'm going to take it easy, hang out with the fam. But I really, really had a lot of fun hanging out with you, peeps. Honestly, this is a nice weekly ritual. Try to do more of it. I think it is useful to you all to be able to have one-on-one time with me, or 10-on-1 time with me, whatever you want to call it. But I think it is useful for you all to get those questions out. I love you all, peeps. Thank you for the super chats. You've been so good to me. David, multifamily, you have to use fire break material between floors, but PVC can be used all over. Okay, good. So a fire break would be kind of like a special sleeve that goes through that also has a smoke rating, I assume, because we have those rules here as well. Anytime you go through a floor or a wall, you have to use a fire rated sleeve, or you have to use like a special caulking that is fire rated as well. So yeah, no, we're the same here in regards to that for sure, 100%. And they also have there's this silicone or a caulk style. That's right. Yeah, I've also seen like I don't know if you've ever seen this kind of, it's like a silicone that you put in a hole and it seals it. I don't know how it gets there. I don't know if it's like a silicone gun or if it's like poured, but I've seen people use that, and it's a fire-rated silicone that you can use as well. And I've seen people build decks with this similar type of silicone where it like really seals solid. But I don't think they're the same thing. But anyways, yeah, we have those rules here as well. That white pipe is awesome. Thanks, Kenny. Always good to see your vid. Satchma, I appreciate you, fam. Thank you for hanging out. Completely lost on that one. Which one? Oh, okay, the silicone one? Yeah, okay. Look, I've seen it from time to time in buildings. It's a green type of silicone or something like that. It's like this interesting texture that they pour, and it seals off between the ground, kind of like that sleeve you were talking about, or a special caulking you were talking about. That's something I've seen as well. Peeps, we got 2 more minutes. If you got any more questions, go ahead, fire away. Let me know. Since we're nearing the end, here's a couple of things I want to say. Please be safe. You know what I mean? It is scary times out there. Please be safe health-wise. Also, please be safe walking around right now. If you know that there are protests going on, be wary of situations that can turn into riots. Because the last thing you want to do is to be walking home and get caught in something that you're not even a part of. So always be safe. Always be aware of that. It is a very tense time in our world right now. I appreciate hanging out as a community because I think community is what builds stronger communities. You know what I mean? So it's really nice to hang out, really nice to talk. Thanks for the chat, everyone. And Kenny, love you, bro. See you next week, God willing. God willing, David. Thank you so much. Please be safe. Please be healthy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which, means that you might get into a little bit of trouble, but not too much trouble. You know what I'm saying? So, peeps, much love. Thank you again, David, and everybody that provided super chats. NKF, thanks so much, man. Best of luck with sending out resumes. Much love, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, that's Plumbstream 11. Talk to you soon. Let's go do some delicious plumbing.